I want to talk about sleeping in the car. So today is Monday, the 19th of December, meaning that I have been doing this car life for a little over 1 full week. And I won't say that I'm a full-on expert, but I've definitely learned a thing or two since my last How I Sleep in the Car video. So, first and foremost, understand this. This video is aimed at people who live in the car, not people who live in vans and not people who live in RVs. If you live in a van or an RV, things are much easier for you in the sense that you can go to completely discreet, undisclosed locations because you have your own bathroom. And that's the biggest difference. When you're in the car, more often than not, you are not going to have your own bathroom set up. I know I sure as hell do not. So, if you don't have your own bathroom set up, that means you need to be somewhere that's close to a bathroom. So, I'm taking not only that, but all of the other conveniences into account in this video. Okay, this is based on my experience, and I'll probably do an updated one of these in the future once I learn even more. So, 1 week in to my car camping experience, I've learned that there are two really good places to sleep. Number one is truck stops. If you're in the middle of nowhere, sleep at a truck stop. A lot of people say that they can't get good sleep at the truck stop because there's too much noise from the trucks. And to that I say, you need to keep driving, or you need to find some other way to deplete your energy. Because me personally, I had absolutely no trouble whatsoever sleeping at those truck stops. In fact, I would argue that was some of the best sleep I ever got in my entire life. And I mean that wholeheartedly. I was sleeping really good at those truck stops. Sometimes I think about going back to one of the truck stops and just staying there for a week or so, just because the sleep is phenomenal. But if you're in the middle of nowhere, if you're making a long road trip, stop at truck stops. Okay, Love's Travel Shop is my personal favorite, but I think that might just be a regional thing. I'm not sure. But they also have other ones. I think there's Flying J's and Pilot, something like that. I don't know if I got those names correct, but these truck stops are 24 hours, meaning that they never close, meaning that you can sleep there overnight. And not only that, but they have bathrooms, which are always open. You can also pay $10 to $15 to get a private shower, which can be very useful if you're spending a lot of time in these desolate areas where you don't have access to a shower. Like I said earlier, if you live in an RV, this more than likely isn't a problem for you. Or even a van, some people are able to set up showers in their vans. But if you're in a car, you will be hard pressed to take a real bath inside of the car. I've seen people talk about doing the baby wipe showers, things like that. Me personally, I'd rather just be dirty than do that. That's just me though. That's just me. I'm not knocking your hustle if that's what you do, but me personally, it's shower or bust. Okay, that's my philosophy. So truck stops are the best place to go if you are sleeping in a car in the middle of nowhere. Now, for many of those same exact reasons, when you're inside of an urban environment, when you're in a big city, for example, I'm in the Los Angeles area, but this could apply to pretty much any big city, you want to sleep in front of 24-hour gyms. My personal favorite is Planet Fitness. This video isn't sponsored or anything. Planet Fitness definitely has some deficiencies, especially in terms of the actual fitness aspect of it. No squat racks is still killing me every single day, but it's worth it because I get good sleep. Because when you go to one of these 24-hour gyms and you sleep in the front of the gym, and also get a membership, okay, I'll get into that in a second, but when you get that membership and you're sleeping in front of the gym, you have access to a bathroom 24 hours of the day. And like I said, when you're in the car, that is the biggest thing, the biggest compromise that you'll have to make, is that you do not have access to a bathroom in the car. The best that you'll probably be able to do, unless you make extensive modifications to your car, is to use a bottle. And I've had to do that a couple of times, but mostly because I was just too lazy to walk inside of the gym. So get a gym membership. I would recommend Planet Fitness, to my point earlier, because many of their locations are 24 hours. You will need to monitor which locations are 24 hours every day though, because some of them are only 24 hours Monday through Thursday. Then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, they'll be 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., so on and so forth. Okay, figure out which locations are 24 hours all day, every day, and pick 3 to 4 of them. Okay, pick 3 to 4 of them that you will rotate between. Do not sleep in the same place for 1 week at a time. Some people do that and they get away with it, and that's fine. But it only takes one time where you have an extra out security guard who just feels like pressing random people for no reason. Or I guess they do technically have a reason, because more often than not, that's not really allowed. But you have to think about it from a business standpoint. Okay, if you are a member at that gym, then you're not losing them any money by staying in their parking lot. Unless you are trashing their parking lot, which I highly recommend that you do not do that. Okay, you keep your area just as clean as it was when you got there. If you're not trashing their parking lot and you're a paying customer, why would they kick you out? They have no incentive to kick you out whatsoever, because you're paying. So they're already getting your money anyways. You're just paying for a parking spot as well as all of the other amenities in the gym. Now, to my point earlier, you get a lot of those same amenities and then some in the gym that you get at those truck stops. For example, you have access to showers. Now, me personally, I found it to be a little uncomfortable at first showering in those showers, but 3 or 4 days of doing it and I got used to it. You will adapt. If I can adapt to it, you can adapt to it. I can assure you of that. And not only that, but you have the sinks, you can wash your face, brush your teeth, all of that. And more often than not, if you're at these 24-hour gyms, especially in these bigger cities like Los Angeles, you're not going to be the only person doing this. One thing that I've realized is that there are a lot of people who do exactly what I'm doing every single night. And more often than not, my car is the most discreet because of my stealth camping setup. But really, I don't even have to be discreet, because there's so many of us doing it that they just don't care. But to that point, you don't want to be in a place that has become an encampment. You don't want to be sleeping in an encampment or anywhere near one. You want to sleep in a gym parking lot that is still somewhat clean, but has a steady flow of people coming in and out every single night. You never want to be the only person in the parking lot, because you will draw unnecessary attention and raise suspicion to yourself. And if you keep doing that for long enough, you will get caught and you will be kicked out, which hasn't happened to me, and I don't really foresee that happening anytime in the near future, but it definitely has happened to other people before. Thousands, if not millions of times before. So be very mindful of that. And this is something that you're going to pick up over time, is which gyms are the safest to sleep at. Because like I said, you don't want to be near an encampment. Even though the encampment will give you the peace of mind of knowing that you're not going to be kicked out of that place, now you're having to deal with the people who are there. And more often than not, the people who have fully immersed themselves into that lifestyle of being in those encampments, I'm not saying all of them, but at least 1 or 2 of them in most encampments are devious. They're duplicitous. Okay, they basically just commit treacherous acts upon your property. And if you're living in a car, the chances are that most of what you own is in the car. So if you get your car broken into, it's like getting your car and your house broken into at the same time, and you will be down abysmal, down atrocious. So make sure that you're monitoring which places look the safest, but also have other people doing what you're doing. A good indication that other people are doing what you're doing is that you see people in the gym, or in the gym locker room rather, brushing their teeth every single day. If you see that, and then they get in their car and then they don't leave, if you're peeping game like that, and you see them doing that, you know you're not the only one there, which is good. Now, I don't necessarily know the dynamic in smaller cities, but I would personally recommend that if you're living in the car, you go to a bigger city. Because what's the point of not going to a bigger city? More often than not, the only reason why people don't move to cities like Los Angeles or New York City, so on and so forth, is because the cost of housing is too much for them. But once you eliminate the cost of housing by living in your car, you don't have to worry about that anymore. But I've seen plenty of van lifers even sleeping in these gym parking lots. So believe me when I tell you that that is an absolutely sensational place to get some good sleep. Believe me when I tell you that. Now, in addition to having good places to sleep, and like I said, keep a good rotation. You don't just sleep in the same place every day. You pick maybe 3 or 4 gyms and you keep a rotation 2 to 3 nights at a time. Then you move on to the next place. In addition to having good places to sleep, a few other things that you need to do are, for one, invest in good window covers. I see a lot of people get the Reflectix and they cut window covers out, which isn't necessarily bad, but a lot of times reflectics are reflective. And once the sun comes up, you can see that people have reflectics in all of their windows, and you instantly know that they're car camping, which, like I said, at the truck stops and at some of these gyms isn't necessarily a problem. But if you're wanting to do some residential street camping or whatever, or maybe if you do have that one security guard who's just on demon time, that can be problematic. So me personally, I invested in some blackout window covers, and you can see all of this in my full car tour video. I think I've shown those window covers in pretty much every video since I began living in the car. But if you can invest in some window covers like the ones that I have, black window covers, or get the reflectics and paint them black, which to me is not worth the time nor the energy. I'd rather just buy black ones. If you can invest in some good window covers, you will exponentially improve your quality of sleep. I promise you that. Because not only are you sleeping with the peace of mind of knowing that people don't know that you're in there because your windows look like they're just tinted, but also it blocks the sunlight out. So if you decide that you want to sleep in, which personally I don't really do that anymore, but if you decide that you want to sleep in, you can now do that. You now have that luxury. Now, another thing that I want to say in regards to window covers is don't put window covers on your front windows if you can avoid it. In my opinion, it's much better to put window covers on the back windows, on the rear windows, and then put a black curtain between the front and the back of your car, assuming that you're sleeping in the back. And the reason why this is because if people see that you have window covers on the front, especially on the windshield, they know immediately there is somebody in that car or there is something valuable in that car. Now, if people assume that there is somebody in the car, now you become a target to police. If people assume that there's something valuable in the car, now you become a target to criminals. You don't want to be a target to either one. And that's why I recommend that you keep your car looking as normal as you possibly can. I don't have any extra roof racks or any attachments on the top or the back of my car. I understand that some of you are into recreational activities. If that's the case, then by all means, do what you need to do with that. But for me personally, I try to keep my car as discreet as possible. Because even though I don't need to fully stealth camp, I still do it just as a good practice. Because you never know, for one day or 1 week or 1 month even, I might need to sleep in the residential areas or the areas where I maybe don't have the luxury of knowing that there are other car campers in that same lot as me. And I have to truly stealth camp. With that understanding, I feel like it's very, very important to develop these good habits when you have that luxury, when you have the comfort of knowing you have other people who are doing what you're doing, who are alleviating some of the attention from you and your vehicle. Now, another thing that you need to do, and this is something that I was stubborn about at first, but crack your windows at night. Crack your windows at night. I understand it can be loud outside. I understand that it might be cold outside, but I made this mistake yesterday and I will not be making this mistake anymore. So I spend a lot of time in my car. More often than not, I hang out inside of my car actually. This is where I get a lot of my work done, where I do a lot of writing, a lot of filming, so on and so forth. And I lost track of time yesterday. I was sitting in my car for maybe 6 or 7 hours. Most of the time was spent talking to my girlfriend. I drove directly from the lot that I was sitting in. Oh, another thing, just a side note, don't hang out in the same parking lot that you sleep in. Just a little extra tip right there. But I drove directly to the lot that I slept in, which was a Planet Fitness parking lot. And throughout the night, I noticed that I was having trouble breathing properly because I had all my windows sealed all the way. And I was having trouble breathing properly. Every time I woke up, I was out of breath. I couldn't get a good breath, a good full breath in. Even when I was talking to my girlfriend, I couldn't breathe properly. I kept telling her, I can't catch my breath. I don't know what's going on. It's because my windows were all sealed. All of them were closed. Now, in my car, thankfully, I have a sunroof. I have a sunroof which allows me to open that without people knowing that I'm in the car. Because I don't have to lower any of my windows, thus exposing the window covers or enticing people to look into my car, etc. Okay, I can just open my sunroof, crack it open, get some fresh air in here, and breathe throughout the night. But that's more so if you're going to spend a lot of time in your car in general. In fact, I'm sitting in the car right now and I have all my windows closed. I should probably open them. I'm being hypocritical right now, but definitely crack at least one of your windows if you can. And as soon as you wake up, you want to at least open a door, crack a window, or just walk outside. Get outside, which if you're sleeping in the gym parking lot, you're probably going to do that anyways because you're going to wake up, then you're going to go into the gym to do your morning routine, so on and so forth. But be very mindful of this, because what I'm realizing now is that I could have just not woken up this morning. If I had just slept in a little bit longer, who knows? So be very, very, very cognizant of that, of just keeping your windows open throughout the day if you can even. Now, another thing that I've learned about car camping, about sleeping in the car, is that you need to invest in a good car to sleep in. Now, I understand that some of you will not have the financial means to do so, and that's fine. Make the most of what you have. I've seen a lot of people get creative with compact sedans or just any other type of car which is clearly not designed for this type of lifestyle. Me personally, I have a Mazda CX-5. It's a crossover SUV, which enables me to put the seats down in the back, and I have my camping bed set up, my sleeping bag, and throughout the course of the day, I might just jump in the back and lay down and read or do whatever I want, because I never move the bed. I always leave it there. But some of you may not have that luxury. If you can swing it, try to get an SUV. That's my recommendation. An SUV, a minivan, or my number one option, a Toyota Prius. If you can get a Toyota Prius, get one of those, because not only do they have good gas mileage, which if you're living this lifestyle, I'm assuming that you're a frugal person who is trying to save as much money as you can, but they also allow you to control the climate even if the car is off, which is a function that my car most certainly does not have. Even though my car is probably leaps and bounds more fun to drive than a Prius, that is a feature that I really, really, really envy, and I really wish that I had. But just generally speaking, the number one thing that you should prioritize is having enough space to sleep. You don't want to have to sleep with your legs folded up. You're going to be catching Charlie horses in the middle of the night, and you're going to regret ever having chosen to live this lifestyle. Get a car that is more suited for this type of lifestyle. Even if you have to get an older car with more miles, that's fine, because you're going to save so much money from not having to pay rent that you'll be able to pay the maintenance straight out of pocket. So if you have the choice between getting a 2022 Toyota Corolla and getting a 2001 Chevy Suburban, get the Chevy Suburban, because even though it may not be as reliable, unless you're going to be doing extensive traveling, even though it may not be as reliable, it's going to be much more comfortable to sleep in. And when you sleep, when you get good quality sleep, you function at a higher level. And when you function at a higher level, you can make more money, and then you can upgrade your situation. Now you can get a newer SUV, or get that Prius that I was talking about, or even get a Mazda CX-5 like I have, which I would recommend if you want to do this lifestyle. You have to focus on prioritizing your sleep. You cannot cheat yourself out of sleep, because if you start cheating yourself out of sleep with this lifestyle, if you're trying to be cheap with your bed, your window covers, so on and so forth, you don't want to get a gym membership, all of that, I promise you, you are going to go crazy. You can only last so long without getting quality sleep. And I don't know how long so long actually is, and I also don't intend on finding out.